Hello, welcome to this video where I'll be discussing CMI assignment 714, Personal and Professional Development for Strategic Leaders. And in this video, the final part, a personal development reflection and action plan. So this is for the second set of assessment criterias. And what I'm going to do in this little video is deal with them both together. So we have 2.1, critically reflect on personal, interpersonal, and professional competencies to lead strategically. And then 2.2, produce a personal and professional development plan to improve strategic leadership. It makes sense to cover these together because there should be a natural flow between the two assessment criteria. So in 2.1, the assignment is asking you to do a deep dive reflection on yourself and your strategic leadership competences and aptitudes. And then from that, you can roll straight into your development plan. So based on that self-reflection, what are the objectives or goals that you can identify that you would like to work on? So the two sit together side by side, hence just one video for this. So it's asking us to look at ourselves through these three different lenses of personal, interpersonal, and professional. So what do these mean? Well, personal, but I suppose these are just some suggestions really. And, again, you can kind of explore this your own way. Personal, I would see as being your self-awareness, your resilience. I think it's actually quite an interesting one, resilience, isn't it? Again, when you're leading others and others are looking up to you and you're the person who's generally supposed to have it together in that leadership role. I think that's quite a hard place to be, really. So, so looking at your own resilience in your role as a leader, consistency, and also imagination. So these are all things I think that really support strategic leadership. Depends a little bit on the organization that you're in and the expectations that that places in terms of what's most important. But the personal aspect of this is really yourself, your own capabilities and competencies as a senior leader in your organization. Interpersonal, so that's more outward. So if the personal bit is a little bit more reflective, the interpersonal element is more about the awareness of others, communication, how we build relationships, and how you manage your stakeholders, who are your stakeholders, and how do you connect and engage with them really, really well. So that second point, a little bit more outward focused, I'd say. And then, yeah, the last point, professional. So that's business in context, your technical or professional knowledge, what professional knowledge and capability do you need to have? And again, it's going to ask you to reflect and review that. And so when you do your self-review, it's just really important to make sure that we talk about all three: personal factors, interpersonal factors, and professional factors that relate to our leadership role in the organization. Two different ways that I've got here. There are many more, of course. One is the good old SWOT analysis. It's an age-old tool, but it works really, really well. And so what you could do, perhaps, is look at your own strengths and weaknesses as a strategic leader. Again, bearing in mind personal, interpersonal, and professional capabilities. So where are you already very strong? What you've already got kind of your talents and gifts and capabilities, weaknesses, or anything that you don't do particularly well, anything that you would like to pay attention to in order to develop that might help you to do a little bit better. Alternatively, of course, some people say that we should just accept our weaknesses, and that we're only human, aren't we? And so it could be that there are some weaknesses that you could identify and say, well, I don't necessarily need to focus on that now, or I can make peace with that. Mine's networking. I don't enjoy it. I'm not very good at it. Always get a bit awkward and uncomfortable. I'm pretty sure nothing good has ever come of it. So it's a sort of weaknesses that I've sort of just learned to accept in myself, really. So some weaknesses, they are things that we might choose to action. Others might be things that we're actually okay with, really. So, but again, that would be an interesting thing to look at. Opportunities and threats tend to be a little bit more external. So in the external environment, so if our strengths and weaknesses are to do with us, opportunities and threats might be about the context that we're operating in. So opportunities might be, think, like for example, if you have an organization that really invests in development and there's loads of things to do, that if you've got an organization that supports working with coaches or mentors, or supports you doing professional development programs, fantastic. Threats could be, well, time is often one, isn't it? Very busy diaries, and people are so busy these days, and it's just go, go, go. I suppose it's that type of thing. It's how do you prioritize and make time for your own ongoing development? How do you prioritize that when lots of other things are shouting for your resources and your time? So that would be the SWOT analysis. An alternative, slightly dissimilar, slightly different language: strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and results. SOAR analysis. A lot of people like this because it doesn't have the word weakness in it. It's more of an appreciative inquiry sort of model. So strengths, what are strengths? Opportunities could be opportunities to develop. So even better if I could focus on this or work on that. Your aspirations would be looking at your goals and objectives, and what you would like to strive or work towards. Could be next stage of your professional life, or personal development, things that you'd like to focus on, such as the ability to build lasting relationships, that type of thing. So aspirations is for future state, and then results. How would you know if you were achieving them? What would you see? What impact do you think it would have, and what would you be able to observe to tell you that you were working towards and achieving those aspirations? What would be the indicators that you were making forward progress? So there we go. It's good. Another good framework. Just similar, a little bit different. So choose one of those, or something different if you've got something different. Having a framework to support the self um, review, I think, is helpful. It just gives us a bit of a structure to work with. To give it a little bit more depth, that by all means, it can be through your own lens and your perspective. But even better if, there we go, priest of inquiry, you were to weave in a few of these sorts of points and reference points. So it could be that you could incorporate into your self-analysis any feedback that you've had from a line manager or colleagues. That if you've had feedback from colleagues about your style and approach, you know, all great. So any of those that you could reference to support your self-analysis, again, it makes it just a little bit more rigorous, a bit more evidence-based. You could incorporate any reference to 360 feedback. If you've done a 360 profile at any point in the recent past, you could reference that. Or if you've used psychometrics, personality tests, that type of thing, lots of those about. Again, if you've done any leadership development, it's possible that you would have encountered one of these or two of these. So have you got any data that you could discuss in your self-appraisal? Reflective case study. This is an interesting thing to do. What you do is you can look at a specific incident of where you've had to engage with others as a leader. What happened? How did you approach it? What results did you get? And what are your reflections on that? So you could talk about, again, a specific incident or example of where you've had to, step up into that leadership role. And what are your reflections on that? So that's always a good thing to do, and again, just gives it a little bit more. And then anything else that you can think of, really, that it could be perhaps if you work with a coach or mentor, it could be feedback that they've given you, or observations that they've made. Yeah, so the sky's the limit, really. But it's just, I think, to kind of go into it in a little bit more depth rather than it being purely a self-review. If you can weave in other sources of information, then all the better. And then once we've done that, it's then into the plan. So based on your self-review, what are the strengths that you want to build on? What are the weaknesses or opportunities for development that you'd like to engage with? It's now about turning that into a plan. So left-hand column, are there any goals that you would like to work towards, or challenges that you'd like to overcome? So uh, from your self-appraisal, self-review, what are the kind of goals or actions or issues that you would like to engage with? I'll give you an example in just a moment. In order to work towards that objective or to engage with that challenge, what would you have to do? So again, this doesn't need to be detailed, but just high level. What might a kind of an overview action plan look like? What support will I need? Um, will other people be part of it? Perhaps thinking about those threats and opportunities in your environment. Will you need a bit of sponsorship? You need your line manager to give you time or support with it. How will I know if I've achieved the objective? So again, what changes will you see? And when will I do it by? So this is, I think, what really turns it into a PDP, a personal development plan, is that it is about getting it, based in time. So there's something a little bit smart about all of this, smart objectives. So these are just headings that you can use. If there's anything else that you can think of that might be helpful, you can absolutely weave it in. So a little example, this is one that I was thinking about for myself. So a personal development action is going to be to work with a coach to help clearly define the next step in my career. I've been doing what I do for a little over 10 years now, and I feel that it is time to progress and move on to something a little bit different. So I've done my SWOT analysis, and what I've realized is that I'm becoming a little bit too comfortable. So I need to push myself into the next thing. But what is the next thing? So what will I have to do? I'm going to have to identify a coach and carefully reflect on and identify what I want from the process. What am I asking for here? So I've two things really. So I need to find the right coach, and I also need to think about what exactly do I want from that coaching process. I think I'm there, but maybe a little bit more reflection needed. What support will I need? Well, I don't so much. I've given myself the time to do this, but I'm going to need to talk to 2 to 3 career coaches with the skills to support people in mid-career like me. I've been in my professional life for 20 something years now, and so I think I am looking for a coach who's got um, experience of supporting people in that kind of midway career stage. And I'm going to talk to two or three I think to find the right one. There's lots of people who do this, but I think there's a bit of a chemistry check there, finding working with the right person who's perhaps been through that career transition themselves. Oh, is it a coach that I need, or is it something else? How will I know if I've achieved the objective? I will have greater clarity on my professional purpose and a roadmap to steer my onward development. So the next thing, I'm a real believer in whole life learning, but I am a little bit fuzzy on what that actually looks like next. When will I do it by? Well, there's a few things here. So I'm going to have early stage discussions the next 4 weeks. I've got a couple lined up actually in terms of working with quite experienced coaches. So we've got some calls booked to talk to a couple of coaches straight away. I'll engage a coach for the next 2 months. I intend to have a new career development plan in place for January 2025. So not going to rush into it, going to really take a bit of a pause and a bit of time to reflect on actually what does the next few years of my working life look like. But I'd like to have real clarity on that for the start of the new year. There we go. Little example. When you're doing this, I would say it's probably good to have, say, 6 to 8 points, 6 to 8 objectives on your plan. It's great if those relate to your SWOT or SOAR analysis from the last stage, so that there's a cohesive flow to it. Although not all will, they might not all directly relate to that. Some should be personal and some should be professional. So one important thing just to think about is when you're looking at your objectives, it should be a combination of personal development objectives and professional development objectives. So perhaps more, some that could be a bit more specifically focused on the organization or technical professional knowledge, that type of thing. So a bit of a range. And that is it. Assignment complete. So I hope you have found the videos helpful. I hope you enjoy the process of working through this assignment. It is quite a reflective piece of work, and I think that there are real benefits from the kind of the deep dive reflection into leadership and also your own, if you like, leadership identity and development. I think there's real benefits to that. So I hope that you enjoy it and that you found it helpful. And yep, stay in touch. Thank you very much for working through these little videos, and yeah, keep us posted.